There are calls for action tonight after a video surfaced of an LAPD officer's boot hitting a suspect in the head and right there in the face.
LAPD Chief Michael Moore, who sent us a statement. We are taking this incident very seriously.
What followed was not accountability, but an institutional cover-up. Despite clear evidence, the LAPD denies the battery. The case highlights systemic failures within the LAPD, as well as the failures of oversight bodies responsible for holding the department accountable. Should the LAPD be tasked with investigating itself? Look at the facts and you decide. On July 3, 2022, LAPD Hollywood officers removed the subject from a police car and placed him in handcuffs. When the individual resisted, the officers brought him to the ground and applied leg restraints. After securing the restraints, the officers began carrying the subject back to the police car, but suddenly they set him back on the ground. It was at that moment one of the officers stepped on the subject's face. The officers' actions immediately outraged onlookers, several of whom were recording the incident. One man can be heard angrily shouting, "Keep your foot off his fucking face."
Fuck you! Fucking pig! Got that on tape!
After the video went viral, the chief of police issued a statement in which he appeared to acknowledge that the officer struck the man in the head with his foot. He said, quote, "We can all look at the imagery and see it. Striking a person in the head with their foot or any impact device is something that we take very seriously. It is one that is not authorized as a force option other than deadly force situations because of the likelihood of serious injury or death." The following day, I went to the LAPD Hollywood station to try to identify the officer. I knew I had to choose my words carefully because any insinuation of misconduct would force the supervisor to trigger an immediate investigation. They'll tell you that when an investigation has been triggered, they can no longer share any information about the case, and that would include the officer's name.
They asked me to come up here and identify the officer.
Okay. I just spoke with my captain because I know. We figured you'd be here.
I know. I figured you figured I'd be here too.
So what he has advised me to tell you is that we're aware of the incident. We're aware of the officers. We are doing an internal investigation right now, but I can't release the
Which captain is this?
Jelani.
This is Jelani.
Yes.
Right.
Later, I went back to the LAPD Hollywood station to file a crime report against the officer. The fact is, if I stepped on somebody's face like that, I would be arrested. The officer committed a crime and he needed to be prosecuted. After filing the crime report, I received a phone call from Lieutenant Rippey, who informed me about the process going forward. I specifically asked him if the case would be presented to prosecutors, and he said the case would automatically be sent to both the district attorney and the city attorney.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do is, because they already present that to the city attorney and district attorney through those investigations already.
That's important because of what comes next. Aside from filing the crime report against the officer, I also filed a misconduct complaint against the officer for out-of-policy use of force. I then filed a complaint with the chief of police and inquired to see if the officer was put on administrative leave. After sending the chief a few emails, I was informed he was removed from field duty. After that, I asked Chief Moore if the case would be or had been presented to the district attorney. Chief Moore informed me that the case was being referred to the DA as per LAPD protocols. In March 2023, after asking for some updates from Chief Moore, I received an email from Elizabeth Rhodes, the director of the Office of Constitutional Policing and Policy, who is the highest-ranking civilian employee in the LAPD. She informed me that the officer had been exonerated. That's right, the officer was exonerated. Unbelievably, she said, "It appears the officer's foot did not contact the head or face of the subject, but rather made complete contact with the ground next to the subject's head. Moreover, during the investigation, the person in the video who appeared to be the subject of the use of force never stated he was kicked or stomped in the head or in his face or that he sustained injuries from either action. Now, Elizabeth Rhodes makes two false claims. The first false claim is that no contact was made between the officer's foot and the man's face. But as you can see here, the officer's foot clearly makes contact with the man's face. As you can see, the man's head moves sharply, and you can also see the skin on his face distort as the foot makes contact. The second false claim is that the man never claimed that the officer made contact with the man's face. But the man can be heard audibly protesting the officer stepping on his face 18 seconds after the attack. So I sent a few emails to Elizabeth Rhodes asking if the case had been or will be presented to the district attorney. After 4 emails seeking answers, I sent a 5th email filing a formal complaint against Elizabeth Rhodes for covering up the officer battery. It was then that Elizabeth Rhodes responded by saying that they did not believe the use of force had been committed. She then told me that if I don't agree with the findings, that I should feel free to reach out to the district attorney myself. So I then sent several emails to Chief Moore asking why Elizabeth Rhodes was contradicting his assurance that the case would automatically be sent to the district attorney. Moore finally replied by stating that he did not believe the case met the criteria to send to the district attorney. Chief Moore then said because of an exemption in policy and because of extraordinary public interest in the investigation, he would in fact now be sending the case to the district attorney. In June 2023, the LAPD cleared the officer. Even more, they classified the complaint as demonstrably false, claiming that the body camera footage showed no contact between the officer's foot and the subject's head. This assertion was directly contradicted by video evidence clearly showing contact occurred. Now, this demonstrably false disposition is concerning because there is a potential the LAPD could prosecute me for this complaint. Under California law, one can be prosecuted for filing a false complaint against a police officer. In December 2023, I received a disposition regarding the complaint I filed against Director Rhodes for lying. And lo and behold, the police chief cleared her. That's right, he cleared her. So I reached out to the complaint supervisor to get an explanation for the complaint dispositions. He told me the case was being re-examined by the Inspector General.
I can tell you, because I know that we've dealt with that one a lot, that had gone through to internal affairs. I believe they reopened it, and we're looking at it for the Inspector General, who had some questions on it. So as of right now, it is in their hands in terms of reviewing it and meeting with the Inspector General regarding it.
Okay, so
I wish I could tell you what their dispo is or what they're going to do with it.
well, I mean, I have a disposition here. I received a disposition letter signed by the Captain Beloy saying that it was disposition was demonstrably false.
Demonstrably false, right? No, and I'm aware of the incident and the allegation, and I know we added you as a complainant to it. And I know the Inspector General then also wanted it looked at again, which I know it has been presented to them. I know then it was presented to the chief recently, so I don't know if they're changing it, reopening it, or what
I see.
their next action is going to be.
I never heard from the Inspector General or Internal Affairs on this matter ever again. The LAPD officer stepped on a man's face, the LAPD covered it up, and no one was held accountable. Several prominent local officials, including Mayor Karen Bass, council members Hugo Soto Martinez, Nithya Raman, Eunices Hernandez, and Marquise Harris Dawson, were kept informed about the investigation. None of these officials issued a public statement or took action.
About it. And you want to know something? A cop stepped on a guy's head down the street. And it's on film, and I've emailed you about it 20 times. And you've done nothing. You care nothing about them. Every time I see you, I'm gonna search for you, and I'm gonna ask you perpetually about it. As the cops violate people on Cahuenga, and you said nothing. He stepped on that man's head, and you said nothing. He stepped on that man's head, and you said nothing. And then the cops lied and said it didn't happen. And I showed you the video, and you said nothing. That's Hugo.
Here are some facts. The LAPD lied about the incident. The chief of police contradicted himself when he reversed himself with the false claim that no contact occurred. The chief of police lied about referring the case to the prosecutors. Internal Affairs lied in its findings. The Office of Constitutional Policing assisted with the cover-up. The LAPD Commission and the Inspector General also assisted in the cover-up. The elected officials' silence was shameful. This case highlights the reoccurring issue that the LAPD cannot be trusted to investigate itself. To see details on this case, please visit filmthepolicela.com/investigations.